Hello. So, Yama comes out in a week, and they being Jagex, released a blog giving us a little bit of idea of what to expect for contracts, and it's kind of cringe. What's up? What's up with the contracts? So, specifically, what I want to talk about, gatekeepy entry fee type of content that we've come to know from Desert Treasure 2. With Desert Treasure 2, there's something called an Awakener's Orb. This is a tradable drop from the monster you're fighting, and if you take this orb to that monster, you could fight the hard version of that monster. And before it was like 3 to 4 mil, now it's like a mil per orb. The point is that if you want to engage with this higher level piece of content, you have to be stupid rich, because these are very difficult bosses. It's really easy to die. Right now, it's about a mil per attempt. So people that are doing any sort of challenges, we're talking about billions of GP just to be able to engage with the content, and that feels very bad. If you're a person who's capable of doing the content, it is simply not worth your time to farm these things so that you can engage. However, if you are an Iron Man, tough shit, you just gotta grind it out yourself, which honestly sucks. They look like they're doing something here with contracts. Okay, so the way I expected it to go for contracts was that, let's say you go fight Yama, right? And when you fight this new demon boss named Yama that's coming up in a week, you get a chance to defeat him in base form, and then you could also go for contracts, which are like modifiers that can give you certain different rewards based on the contract that you do with the demon. It's like a deal with the devil type of situation, right? So in this case, what I was imagining was like 2 or 3 different contracts that you can choose from before you engage with the encounter, like similar to Coliseum, where we have the invocation system. You go to start something and you have these modifiers to choose from. That's what I was expecting. However, what they've decided to do, and I doubt they'll change this before it gets released unless the update gets delayed. So what they've done is they've made these contracts tradable. Why? So basically, if you get a contract, you can leave the instance, I guess, or you can also secondarily get a contract from demons within the Chasm of Fire, which is also cringe. That's the main thing that I want to address, and let's go into the 2 details here. So one thing is that they advertised Yama. We could actually look at this up. So you can look at the graphic right here, right? I'm just personally a little bit disappointed with the messaging of this. Let me see if I can get the image to blow up a bit. You can see that this image, endgame dual boss fight, right? So you would assume that months ago in March, when they announced this, that it would be a duo boss, and the aspirational content would be with a duo partner, and that makes the overall experience much more complex because you're adding another person into the mix. It's not just dependent on you, so you have to have coordination involved as well. And they could have had really cool ideas. One thing I was thinking of was if your partner gets downed, for example, by Yama, instead of just dying outright and not being able to participate in the fight, maybe you could have like a revive mechanic. That would have been really sick. However, with these contracts, the kicker with contracts is that you'll have to take down Yama by yourself. By yourself? It's a duo boss. So, I mean, that's like disappointing, to say the least. Maybe they couldn't have figured it out, but like, nah, I don't know. I feel like the way that they marketed the messaging that has been going on for months of this being a duo boss, people are amped up. They're trying to find other people to do this with on release or that sort of thing. And then it turns out that the actual fun part, like the very challenging stuff, will only be solo. That's kind of lame. That's one thing that I have an issue with. That part is super lame. I actually lied. There's going to be 3 things. The second thing, just because in order of how it's listed, they are going to be delaying contracts for a week, meaning you'll only be able to fight the base form of Yama for the first week of release. This does kill the hype. It is unfortunate because like that was the whole point. The whole point was to get like this aspirational content, at least for people like me and the people that I know with that would do this content with me. We're interested in being challenged, and we were advertised as this would be on the level, if not higher, than Desert Treasure 2 Awakened variants, which would have been crazy. It's been like a minute since we've had something like this, and it would have been nice to experience it, but there's going to be a week delay. I understand why they have the delay, so that they could iron out any bugs and whatever that goes on. But this is what playtests and alpha tests are for. But I mean, given that they advertised that this would exist, that is going to be a staple of Yama to have these contracts, and then for a whole week we're not going to be able to access it, it's going to be a bit of a letdown. So that's like 2 disappointments so far out the gate before it's even been released. Don't get me wrong, I'm very excited to have this content. It's just the communication has been super shoddy on the whole theme of this experience, as well as the fact that we're like getting staggered updates for this boss, which is it's a bit disappointing to say the least. Okay, the third gripe that I have so far that we know of is that you can get contracts from Yama, which makes sense. It's annoying that they're tradable because of what I mentioned before with the whole thing with Awakener's orbs. And basically what it comes down to for these type of gathering entry fee things is if you can make more money doing anything else than getting the contracts, like farming the contracts yourself. Let's say farming contracts is like 5 mil an hour or something, but you can make like 10 mil an hour doing something else. You will never actually engage in like farming these contracts ever, unless you're an Iron Man, in which case you just like have an extra time waste for engaging with this content. This content, by the way, I need to remind you, is an end game dual boss fight. I guess it's not dual. Gotcha. April Fools, I guess, to us a bit late. So it's anyway, if you want to engage with the end game boss, you have to kill mid-level, low-level mobs to even have a chance to engage with it as an iron or as a main, because there won't be contracts early on. So that really sucks. The second thing that sucked was the delay of a week for any aspirational content. That sucks too. And the third one, that the way that you can get this is through mobs, which in the Chasm of Fire, which is like super lame. It's super lame. 1 and 3 are kind of tied together in the fact that contracts are tradable and farmable. So they do say that the contracts are going to be more common than the Awakener's Orb. That is cool, but it's still shit. It still feels really bad if you want to go do something and you can't. It's like getting kill count for God Wars, but like worse. So, but it's not as bad as Awakener Orbs, I guess. If you want to try to do this on an Iron Man, for example, same thing with Sanguine Torval or Blood Torval with the Awakener Orbs, you would probably have to practice this on a main account or something like that, or in a beta world if you happen to come across one at the time that you're doing Yama, so that you don't end up like wasting 100, 200 contracts or something like that. You probably just won't have that many contracts trying to get the upgraded version of this cosmetic variant of the Oak Plate armor, which requires a specific contract. So yeah, I don't have much to add. I'm hyped for Yama. That's going to be great. I'll go stream it on a release as well. So all that is going to be fine and dandy. Maybe I'll even make guides about it. It depends. Definitely will be doing Yama in more ways than you might expect. I'll be dropping a video very soon on this like new series idea I'm making, so I hope you guys will enjoy that or find it interesting. We'll see. Yeah, but that's all I wanted to talk about for this. It's really unfortunate there's just not enough time to fix this unless they, well, to adjust this in any different way unless they delay the update. Hopefully in the future they change it so that you can duo the aspirational content, but that would be like a whole game design thing that they probably haven't accounted for. And it's unfortunate. My main gripe with this whole thing is that we were advertised this to be a end game duo boss, and it turns out that if you want to actually do the boss in a challenging way, it's only soloable, which sucks. So see you next week for Yama. See you later.